Hi there, it's Alexa here from the Book Refinery, and I thought I would show you in real time everything that I've just explained in that blog post about Microsoft Word style sheets. So what I've done is I've just uploaded an article that I wrote quite a few years ago now, and it hasn't been formatted. It's all just in normal text, and I thought it'd be a really good idea to show you all the steps that I talk about in the blog post, because sometimes I find that video tutorials are really easy to follow compared to just writing and screenshots. So here I've got this blog post. Now in it there's a title. I've got regular text, or what I call normal text here. I've got a heading 1. This will be a heading 1. I've also got a heading 2. Actually, there's a quote there. I'm going to show you how to set up quotes. Here's a heading 2, and then all of these tips are a heading 3. So I thought I would just quickly go through how to set all of those up in style sheets in Word. And I'm also going to show you what you need to be looking out for if you've set your style sheets up correctly. So at the moment you can see that between these two paragraphs there's actually a hard return, and this is where I've clicked enter here to start a new paragraph, and actually technically that's not correct. As you can see, I can just hit delete and it gets rid of the space between the paragraphs. And what I'm going to show you is how we actually set up our normal text so that the space is automatic. And this will become apparent as to why you want to do that when we come to look at the navigation pane, which allows us to see the whole blog post with all its headings down here on the left hand side. So at the moment I'm just going to get rid of all of these extra spaces. Now most people, when they set up Word documents, will make their headings in their document by highlighting it. Probably, this is probably what you would do. You go over to here, you press the bold and you change it here. So perhaps you change it to 14 or 16 and it's already bolded. And then you would manually put in your line breaks. But that's actually not correct. I'm going to show you how you can do this so it's all automatic, because what you're going to have to do now is make sure that all of these are the same. But if you come back and you decide that you want to change these, say you don't want it to be 12 point, you want it to be 10 point, you would then have to manually go in and change all your heading 1s, all your headings yourself. Whereas if you've done it in your style sheet, it all does it for you, which is magic. So let me just change this back to what it was, which I think was 12. So the first thing I'm going to show you is, so this is the title. So the first thing is you need to get up your style sheet menu bar, and that's found by just clicking this little button here, and voila, up it comes. As you can see, this at the moment is set to normal. It says normal here, and it also has it outlined normal here as well. So, title. If I click the title, it's going to go to the preset, the default of what Microsoft has it set up as. Now, I think this is a little bit too big for this blog post, so I'm going to change it. And what I'm going to show you now is how you change all of these in the style sheets. So what I do here, you can then apply to all of the other style sheets if you want, when you want to change them. So title, I'm going to go to my modify box, and here is the formatting section that we're looking at. So it's in Cambria, so I'm going to change it to my Myriad Pro, and I'm going to set it to 22 because I think that's big enough for a title. Now of course you can make it bigger, you can make it bold, you can do whatever you like. You can center it if you want to. In fact, that's what it would look like if it was centered. Here's the where you do your styling, so either left justify centered, right justify, or full justify. So you might want to make your title centered. And I also want some space between the title and the following paragraph. Now I don't need a space before because a title generally goes at the top of the page, but I do want a space afterwards. And you find your spacing in this little format box down here, and you go to paragraph. And here you've got your spacing before and after. Like I said, we don't need a space before, but we do need a space after. So I'm going to give that quite a big space break for the title. And then you just hit OK and OK. And there you go. See, you've got a big, nice space here. Now, you will notice this space, I can't put a cursor. It won't let me put a cursor between my writing and the title, and that's exactly what we want. We don't want any spaces to be able to put the cursor. So that's the title setup. Now let's sort out the normal text. So what we want is we want actually a break between each paragraph. At the moment there isn't one. And I want this fully justified as well, so that it goes all the way to the edge of the page. So I go to, this is already set at the normal default setting. So I'm going to click down here, modify. I'm going to go to justified text, which is this one here. And I'm going to set up the space after the paragraph. So here's the space after paragraph. And I'm going to set it to 6. Let's just see what that looks like. I think we could have probably a little bit more space. So let's take it to 8. Now if it doesn't let you put, if it doesn't give you a denominator that you want, just click into the box, highlight it, and then you can press in, put in 8 and click OK. There, I think that looks better. There's a bit more of a space there. Now I can tell there's a manual hard break in there, so I'm just going to get rid of that. And I can tell there's a manual hard break there too. So you see now I can't put my cursor between this paragraph and this paragraph. It's been set up correctly so that you can't do that. Now this I want to change to a heading 1. Now we've got space before and space after, which is fine, but I want it to be a little bit bigger, and I want obviously the heading 1 to be bigger as well. So click on where you want the heading 1 to start, click on heading 1, and remember you'll go to the default setting, which is blue and no space behind it. So I want to, after it, so I want to change that, so modify. So the first thing I'm going to do is change the colour. So I'm going to change that to black. I'm going to go to Myriad Pro, and I'm going to take my heading 1 up to 18, and I'm going to give it space a little bit. Oh, there's already put in 12 point before, and I want space after, but I don't want too big a space. I want the space before to be bigger than the space after. So I think I'm going to put that to 10. Let's just see what that looks like. I think there could be a bit more of a space between the last paragraph. So let's add a bit more space before. 18. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, that looks good. So again, you see I can't put my cursor there, but there's been a bigger space there, so that's good. Right, so now we've set up our heading 1, I can just now go heading 1. This is now heading 1, so put your cursor before the text and go heading 1. And the same for here, heading 1. And heading here, heading 1. Now if I decide that actually I want a bigger space again, instead of having to go manually and putting a bigger space, like you would if you were doing it through this way, if I just go heading 1, modify, format, paragraph, let's say I take it up to 20 and the space after up to 12, and I go OK, it does it for all the heading 1s automatically for me, which is brilliant. That really does save me a lot of hassle to have to go through and do that myself. So I can see there's a manual break there, which I'm going to get rid of, and a manual break there, which I'm going to get rid of. Manual break there, 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 and there. And I'm going to show you why you don't want manual breaks in a minute when we come to take a look at our navigation pane. So you might want to find you want a bigger space between the normal paragraphs. So let's do that now because it's looking a bit cramped, I think. So space after, let's take it up to 11. Yeah, that's a little bit better. Now, I've got a quote here by Peter Capaldi. Now, there is actually a quote style already set up. Let's just take a look and see what that does. So it centers it and it italicizes it, which I'm happy with, but I want a bigger gap between the paragraphs so it stands out a little bit more. So I'm going to modify, go into format, paragraph, and I want it equal as well. So I'm going to take it up to 16 and 16. There we go. You can now see that nice quote. You might want to make it a different colour. It's easily enough done. Just go to this bar here and you can choose a colour. And voila, it has changed. So, now this here is not a heading, but I am going to bold it. And then I'm going to change these to bullet points. Now this is a heading 2, sorry. And these are heading 3s. These tips. So my heading 2, let's have a look and take a look at what heading 2's preset at. So I want to change this. I go modify. I want to change it to Myriad Pro. I want to change it to quite like 13, and I want to change it to black. Now I want a space before and I want a space after, but I don't want it as big a space. Let's do 10. Oh no, that's far too small. What's gone on there? Why has it only gone to 8? Bit strange. Let's try taking it to 11. Sometimes Word does that. You think you'll have put in something and it hasn't quite done it, so you need to do it again. Actually, this needs to be perhaps 13. Because you want it to be bigger than, you want this heading to be bigger than this bolded. Now this is 12 and this is 13, so actually I think I might take it up to 14. There, that looks better. And I want to left justify my headings. I don't like full justified headings, so left justify headings as well. There we go. And then these are a heading 3. So I want them slightly smaller. Actually, I'm going to make it the same body. What is the body text? The body text is Palatino. So I think the heading 3, I'm going to make the same Palatino. I'm going to left justify it. I'm going to make it blue. going to make it 13. And I'm going to make it italicized. Oh, you see, this is where it doesn't like 13 and italicized. Let's have a look. So there we go. And we need a space after. And let's make that 8. That's better. Those I'm going to make those tick points. Tip 2, I should just be able to go tip 3. Heading 3, I mean. Tip 3 is heading 3. And that's it. So, there I have shown you how to set up your document using style sheets. Now, what's this all been for? I can't see all of the heading 1s and heading 2s and heading 3s. I can't really see them all laid out unless I was to print this document out, and then I could see where they all are and how they all tie up in terms of this article. But there is a really easy way, and this is where I think it really setting up your style sheets really helps when you're writing out long articles or a book, is so that you can see a list, a menu of what you've got in your article. And the way that you do that is you get up your navigation pane. So if you go along to the View tab, so at the moment you're in Home, go along to the View tab. Now, it doesn't actually show it here where your navigation pane is, but it's actually in this section here called Show. And you just click this navigation pane. And look at that. I've now got a navigation pane that shows me all of my heading 1s. So here are my heading 1s. Here are my heading 2, which is slightly indented. And then here are the heading 3s, which is brilliant. Now, the even better thing with this is, if you decide that actually you want to move this section and you want to move it so that it comes under the factor 3 heading, all you do is you click this, drag it, and when it goes to a blue line like that, drop it, and it moves that whole section for you in your document as well. It's really, really handy. So if you go back now, that section has now been moved without you having to copy and paste. And it's moved it all for you into that section. So now you can see exactly where that all is. And actually, for some reason, heading tip 2 has not shown up. There's tip 1. There's tip 3. Where's heading 2 got to? For some reason, when I highlight all of that, it's showing up as normal. I don't know why, but anyway, go into heading 3 and then suddenly there it is. It turns up. And I needed to press it again for it to actually go to what we wanted. That's very strange. Sometimes Word does do that. It's a little bit temperamental. So do check if it isn't showing up, highlight the whole. You'll notice it's been styled. There'll be a little arrow beside it. See, there's a little arrow beside it that shows that it's been styled using this style sheet. So obviously this isn't in the correct place, so let me move this back out again. So just drag it until you get that blue line and then unclick. and then it moves it all for you. And there you go. There is how you use style sheets, how it then affects your navigation pane, and hopefully you'll find this really, really useful when it comes to writing out long blog posts. You can then see the contents in your navigation pane along the side and how to drag and drop. So that's me signing off for today, and hopefully if you've got any questions, feel free to pop them in the comments on the blog post, or feel free to let me know what you thought of the video in the comments on the YouTube. Okay, speak to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.